Hello and good evening. What do you know? Blind squirrels and all. We actually are on time and not recorded and not on the boat, not having internet troubles and not having all the rest. Thanks for joining me tonight. We have a jam-packed show. I want to mention a few of the people in the chat here. My lovely wife, Elizabeth. Elizabeth C. is my wife. Haven't quite been married 20 years, but we've been together 20 years. And life is a journey together, you know? You know how it is, right? So much fun. When things are good, you can always count on your partner, but when things are really down, that's when you know you got a partner. So anyway, love it. I'm at the point now where this show is getting harder and harder to do because I'm so excited about Las Vegas. But put my thinking cap on, and I'm going to try and do my best to do my trust your exit plan strategy tonight. Some of the topics I thought would be a good idea is to really kind of go over maybe in the beginning of the show what you're looking at, and then maybe, you know, who knows where we get somebody that would actually edit these things and actually put a timeline in them that you could figure out where to go for what part of the show. Who knows? We might get fancy enough for that one day. That would be good, wouldn't it? Be a lot easier on everybody to sit through that whole hour of this old guy babbling on. So I want to talk about tonight printing money, obviously. I want to talk about traditional finance. I want to talk about the carry trade. I've been asked to talk and give my 2 cents about the carry trade. I want to talk about nations, states, and what they're purchasing. I want to talk about Mr. Jack Dorsey tonight. I want to talk about the bull is back, and I want to talk about how to make money. And then I want to close out the show by talking about Las Vegas, as you might imagine. So if any of that or all of that sounds good to you guys, stick around. I've got a couple of rants to get to here. Everybody talks about printing money, and printing money is a bad thing. And oh boy, my God, they're going to put us into oblivion, and then it's going to go wheelbarrows and then wheelbarrow for a loaf of bread, and you know, Weimar Republic and all. You know, we've heard the stories a million times. What most people don't catch, okay, and this has a lot to do with the carry trade and traditional too, but a lot of people aren't catching. Raoul Paul, sorry, brother, talks about this a lot. When you have the kind of debt that we have, debt is debt. I know we all know that, right? But what does it mean to pay debt back? That's deflationary. Nobody ever pays anything back. You and I pay it back. Governments, institutions, in particular banking institutions and derivatives, never pay the principal back. They only pay the interest back. So when they say, oh, we're going to print all this trillions of dollars, yeah, they're going to print trillions of dollars because they owe interest. You can't default on a loan unless you don't pay the interest on the loan. So remember that. Always remember that, because nobody ever tells you that part of the equation. And it's very important, right? So the printing of money that is coming our way, it's already here. M2 money supply is way above the crypto market already and climbing. And there's more coming. As we know, the bill was just passed today for basically to cut a lot of people's taxes in a lot of different ways, but it's very expensive and it's costly. And that is a debt. Are they ever going to pay all that debt back? Of course not. They can't. That's virtually impossible. Can they pay the interest? Yeah, to keep from defaulting on their loan. Now, how do you, first of all, you can't pay the debt back. Number two, you can't make a bargain with another country to sell enough treasuries to pay to get the debt back. So we know that's out of the ballpark. That's left, that's left at the building. That is not going to happen. So what do they have to do? Well, you're left with one more equation, and that is GDP. If you can create enough GDP, you can grow or create prosperity your way out of debt. It's their only hope at this point. Now, how people didn't understand that for the last 10 presidencies, I don't understand that. They never thought like business people. They just thought, well, we can just keep printing money and we don't even ever have to make money or earn money. Not that this regime is actually going to be able to pull this off, because I don't know, it'd be a miracle out of a hat. But at least this time they're thinking about profits. They're thinking, okay, I don't mind spending $2 trillion, whatever it is, in interest annually now. But if we spend $5 trillion, just as a government excess, what does that $5 trillion create? Does it create income? That's the only way you need to look at this, because the only way you pay deficit back is to A, cut your budget, which seems to be almost impossible. And then two, you earn more money than your expenses every month. Well, we can do the second one. How do I know we can do the second one? Because we have an era of AI and crypto that is coming our way. Is AI perfect? No, it's a long ways from that. Is crypto perfect? No, in some ways it is. It's the best money we've ever had in civilization's history. So when you're starting from a new infant born basis of money, the most perfect money ever created so far isn't gold. Well, my two favorite coins. The only two that I think could possibly be money in the next 50 years has got to be either Bitcoin or XRP. Again, my show, my opinion. One's going to be more the collateral. The other one's going to be usability. That'll be more like the currency. You've heard me say that a million times. But sound and honest money is something we haven't had since, long before the Federal Reserve. If you know that, and if you understand that, you look back those 112 years, right? And you say, what happened in those 112 years? Man had more wars in a 100-year span than any other 100-year span in terms of magnitude and of quantity of war. Well, how do you create wars? Well, you have to be able to create armies, and then you need a rival. Well, if you've got many different rivals like we do today, how did China build an army? How did North Korea build an army? How did Russia build an army? How did America build an army? They did it through the printing of money. They didn't do it. They didn't say, okay, let's see, we need a battleship. We need a dozen battleships. Did they go to the taxpayer and say, hey, well, look, here's the deal. We need these battleships, and we're going to go ahead and just raise your taxes to pay for the battleships? No, they didn't have to do that, because they could actually create money. They could create money. That's what they did. When you understand that part of the basics of money, you now know why and how we've had these absurd wars and the rest of it. Again, my opinion. But if you actually had to only have a limited amount of coins, such as 100 billion XRP or 21 million Bitcoin, when you went to build an army larger than your friends, that means you were poorer than your friends. How do you put the gas in the Ferrari? How do you fuel the battleship? You can't. It keeps everybody honest. So what I mean by honest money, we've never had honest money. Because even though gold sounds honest, it lied to us in 1971, didn't it? It did. This government found a way in 1971 to make more bombs than France believed they could do, because they didn't believe that they had the gold to back it up. And France called them out on it and said, I'm going to send a ship over there and I want my gold back, but I want it dollar for dollar because I got all these paper digits, things that you created. We all know the history. But you can't do that with sound money. And the only way to create sound money is not with gold. I'm sorry to tell the gold bugs that. How do we know that? I don't know if you guys just heard the news. Uganda just found what they claim, let's just say they're inflating it by double, $21 trillion worth of gold in their ground. Let me repeat that. A lot of gold. China just found $1 trillion worth of gold that they didn't even know they had in the ground. This country has massive amounts of gold mountains and whatnot that have been sealed off by our government, whether or not you believe that or not. We haven't even started mining the ocean. But yet we also know that gold always fails to fiat. Always. It always does. Because we can't trust the people who counted the gold, and we can't trust the politicians who are in charge of counting the gold. They print always more than the gold they have in storage. So when I hear gold bugs tell me, well, crypto's man-made and it's not going to work because you can't use something man-made. Sorry, incorrect. First of all, gold is man-made. That's right, gold is man-made. You don't just walk around and pick up gold off the ground. It takes a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of time, and a whole lot of heat, and they have to crush a whole lot of rocks, and then they have to cook the rocks to make sure that the oil, the precious metals come out the other end of it. That's called man-made. But man now smart enough to put parameters and know the mistakes of the government's previous generations, hundreds of years of bankers that have lied and cheated the little man and the middleman for so long. Middle class, I meant to say. We can create a better money with more safeguards in it than a natural stone out of the ground. I'm not trying to bag on gold because honestly, I think the two best things on the planet to own right now are your top 5 or 10 crypto and gold. Clearly, that's going to be the case. So what does that have to do with printing money, Allan? Well, if you're going to print money, and if you're going to create what people deem the end of this financial kingdom, if you will, you better create income with the money you create. And finally, it seems as if we have a businessman who says, look, I don't mind writing these checks. I want to make sure that my people get paid. I want to make sure that the waitresses and the waiters don't have to pay tax on these tips. If they don't pay tax on those tips, they're going to spend it freely, which is going to generate economy. And then they're saying, well, seniors don't have to pay tax because they've already paid tax 100 times over, and now you're taxing their income when they're seniors. All of that is going to generate income. All of that is going to create spending. All of that is going to create economy. This is your way out. Is it perfect? No. That with industry could help. But the real edge here, the real edge, in my opinion, is robotics and AI. Because you have to get productive. There's absolutely, you and I know we're not stupid. There's absolutely no way this country and the people of this United States can compete with Chinese labor. I'm sorry, that day is not, that's gone by. That's a day gone by. But our robots could. In fact, our robots would be a whole lot cheaper. And then you don't have to ship all those cars or all those things or all those widgets across that giant Pacific Ocean. That's where we're headed. Are we going to have time to pull that off before the dollar is worthless? I hope so. If not, you and I know how to fix that. And I think Crypto is finally mature enough to pull this off. I believe that. Do I know that for sure? Absolutely no. There's no way a man could know that. Okay. So I want to talk about traditional finance now. Traditional finance is losing. Sorry, 60-40 is dead and gone. Bury that 60-40. You're absolutely not going to be able to pull that off anymore. First of all, stocks earning income and its evaluations being, their stock values being predicated on future earnings is unforeseeable at this point with AI and robots. How do you know what business is going to succeed and which one's going to be eliminated? You can't know that today. So how are you going to say what Amazon's a poor example, but how are you going to know any of the other 500 stocks that are basically zombie stocks now, whether or not they can compete in a futuristic world? They can't. I'm telling you they can't, because you and I already know enough about crypto to know banks can't compete with crypto, not even close. How are banks going to keep up a stable coin, let alone anything else? They're not. Okay? They're not. So traditional finance is in big trouble. How do I know that? Look around. Carry trade. Those people have been skimming money from borrowing cheap Chinese dollar or Japanese dollars and then getting interest rates around the world with it. How long did they think that was going to work? How long did they were just going to use an arbitrage of two different lending rates and decide that they were going to make billions of dollars every year and just do that the rest of their lives? That was bound to fail, right? In particular, once enough people understood what it was. But then when when the yields started going through the roof, I don't want to get too technical with bonds, but when the yields started climbing, you're in a lot of trouble. That whole market, everything that we based all of our debt upon, is in big trouble. Big trouble. Again, where's your solutions? I hear gold bugs. Well, my solution's gold. How are you going to do that with gold? Explain that to me. I've never heard a gold bug tell me how you're going to monetize all the bond market with gold. How are you going to handle all the derivatives market with gold? I'm sorry, you can't do it. You just can't do it. And there's a small little fact out there that a lot of people don't know about Bitcoin. A little fact. We all know there's only 21 million of them, and a few of them have been lost. And whether or not you believe the whole thing, it doesn't really matter. I just want you to understand this one thing. There is 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. Odd that, because, last time I heard, I think there's exactly 2 quadrillion digits on this planet. Probably just a coincidence. You might want to think about that. Anyway, let's go on. The carry trade is done. That's in big trouble. So when you're in Japan, who are probably the world's greatest savers, what are they going to save their money in? We've talked about this on the show for how long? I've been telling people this, and people are like, and Allan, we're decades away from that. It's already happening, people. So what are the people in Japan forced to do? Let's talk about carry trade. Everybody wants to talk about carry trade. Okay, let me explain to you what's really happening in carry trade. And a lot of XRP people don't want to hear what I'm about to say. But here's what's really happening today. There's a little company called MetaPlanet. I know you've heard of it. Maybe you haven't. It's a real estate company. It's a hotel chain who got into Bitcoin. It got into Bitcoin ETFs. They started purchasing them. There's a little known fact in Japan that Japan has to pay ridiculous amounts of capital gains tax on Bitcoin profits. However, think about Metaplan. It's a stock. Japanese people worship stock. They love it. They give it all the benefits. So what this company decided to do was create Bitcoin into their stock. Look that thing up. I think it's up 300% this week. I'm not exaggerating. Why? Because the carry trade's dead. But are they getting out of that and getting into XRP? No, not yet. Of course they will. We know they will. What are they doing? They're circumventing the actual Bitcoin itself, and they're buying the ETF of the Bitcoin because it makes more dollars and cents in Japan, and they're all onto it. It's the single greatest stock in that company, in that country since, I don't even know. That's what's happening to TradFi. Traditional finance is getting circumvented. These little loopholes between stable coins, stocks, ETFs, that, by the way, here comes XRP with the ETF. Gee, how convenient. We're about to have 20 of those. Same thing's going to happen. It's just not there yet, right? We just know that. They still are forced to use the Bitcoin ETFs. But, you know, because the Ethereum ETF just didn't work. I don't know why. I wish I could explain that. I can't explain it. But it didn't go over well. So when you look at nations buying, what are they buying? They're not buying American debt. No. What are they buying? Well, let's see. Central banks have been stacking gold for a decade now. But let's ask ourselves, okay, you've got 50 tons of gold. I'd say you're set. You know, is that next 5 tons of gold going to be the difference? No, it's not, is it? So what else might you want to get? Yeah, you guessed it, Bitcoin. What do you think they're all buying? Why do you think Bitcoin's going up? Do you know how hard it is to make a $2 trillion market go up the way that one's been going up? That's right. Bitcoin's a $2 trillion market today. And it's going up. You don't do that with a couple of billion. And it's happening in the ETFs. They're buying MSTR. There's no less than 6 nations now that have declared it on their books. They're buying MSTR, MicroStrategies ETF, essentially. They're buying MicroStrategy stocks and putting them on their balance sheet for nation states. Today, as we speak, governments are mining Bitcoin. And I'm not just talking about Bitcoin right now. I'm just talking about it because it's moving up the charts. Of course, when it slows down and it levels off, a lot of that's going to flow into XRP. It's going to flow into Cardano, and we know what's happening here. We've seen 100 times. I'm just saying, the bigger that Bitcoin number gets, the more you should be smiling and the less you should be complaining. It's all trickled down. You know that. So ask yourself the one hard question here. Are you prepared enough? Is your portfolio the way it should be? I can't answer that for you. I'm not a financial planner. That's not what I do here. I tell you the opportunities before us. I'm telling you that I'm reading the tea leaves of what's going on. And let's remember, the financial planners, Mr. Jamie Dimon, who said that Bitcoin was poison for, I don't know, 16 years, now told 80 million of his clients to buy it. And you know what he's going to tell them to buy next? Yeah, that's right. This little guy right here, XRNP. We're just next in line. We're not there yet. And I know adoption is going to happen. And adoption is going to take XRP. We already know that. Incredible stuff going on in the background with XRP. There's absolutely no way it's going to stay where it is. So I love it. There's a little man. He's not a little man. He's a good man. I don't really know the man. I never really followed his career. I got on Twitter like 15 years ago. Honestly, I really did. I opened an account and I was in that thing for about 2 weeks. And my wife will tell you, I just never looked at it again. I'm like, these people just hate each other. I'm not going in there into the lion's den. I understand it's better than it was. And in particular, if you find a good thread and that you can just follow it and everybody hangs in there and there's really good information on Twitter or X, sorry. And I understand that. Jack Dorsey, a brilliant man, he came out with a statement a couple weeks ago. And I just want to contradict. I want to be the contrarian in the room with what he said. He said that we need, or Bitcoin, the crypto community needs Bitcoin to be used, spent. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with that. I understand that. But just like how I feel about XRP, if I'm going to pay my bills with XRP, I want to make sure that my income buys more XRP than I spend every month. That's the only way I would use case something that is becoming the ultimate collateral on the face of the planet. Why would you do that? Because let's remember what is today. You guys, I'm sure you guys have heard this. Many of you don't listen to Bitcoin news, so maybe you haven't. Mr. Pizza Guy spent $41 on 2 large pizzas exactly 10 years ago today. That $41 he spent on 2 large pizzas today is worth $1 billion in Bitcoin. 10 years ago, $41 bought you $1 billion. Whatever the numbers are. Do you understand that? Do you understand that's not going to go the other direction ever? Like when I bought this house, it would have cost 23 Bitcoin. And today you could buy this house for 4 Bitcoin. In 5 years from now, it's going to be 1 Bitcoin. And then 2 or 3 years after that, it's going to be a half a Bitcoin. Why on God's green earth would a billionaire, I love Jack Dorsey, don't get me wrong, why would he tell people to spend it on coffee? Sorry. No, we have too many other coins to do that with. We have XLM for something like that. I would not recommend anybody doing that with that coin. So in other fantastic news, Mr. Jack Dorsey came out today and said, I have a conglomerate. He's put together a group of people. He calls them friends. They have $2 trillion with a T. And they're buying Bitcoin with all of it. This is happening now, right now in the world. And I'm not trying to threaten anybody and tell you to run out and buy Bitcoin, because remember, there's 2 quadrillion Satoshis. it's not going to be long, and you really need to start looking at about buying Satoshis. You shouldn't even worry about thinking about Bitcoin, because $111,000 is, frankly, to any XRP person, absurd. It truly is absurd. But that's a lot of Satoshis. What is it? I don't know. Anyway, it's 100,000, right? Crazy. There's a lot of them out there. So Jack Dorsey's coming in with $2 trillion. What do we already know about Michael Saylor? He's estimated his stock value out over the next 5 years, and he said $3 trillion. Well, let's see. Just those two guys alone, that's $5 trillion of purchasing Bitcoin that we know over the next few years. Just Bitcoin. I know they're maxis, but the bottom line is that's what they're buying. These are private people. These aren't nation states. Nation states are, for the first time in their lifetime, trying to tread water against billionaires who are buying a more secure means of storage of labor and wealth. Far more superior than gold. That's this man's opinion. You don't have to believe that. It's occurring. Everything you've thought about happening is happening now. I had a little birdie tell me last 2 days, about a week ago now. He said, just wait till the Bitcoin show. The price of Bitcoin is absolutely going to explode. And I said, well, that's never happened before. It always goes down during the show. He said, not this year. Not this year. And already look at it. What 30 days ago it was $75,000. Today it's $111,000. Do you know how hard it is to make? I already went over this. Do you know how hard it is to make a $2 trillion market go up by 30%? Do you think those people are just Joe Sixpack? And let's remember, I'm not trying to sell you on Bitcoin here. I'm just trying to say that all the prosperity that's occurring right now in prosperity in Bitcoin is coming to you, no matter what coin you own. That's coming to you. And here's why I'm going to say it. Remember, 95% of all the Bitcoin has already been created. There's only 5% left. And by the way, the last 100 years is the last 1%. It takes 100 years to mine the last 1%. So 95% of the world's wealth, I'm talking about billionaires, all of it, institutions, countries, all of it, billionaires, all of millionaires, don't own Bitcoin. 95% of the world's wealth doesn't own any Bitcoin. And there's only 5% of it left. This is math. This has nothing to do with my personal opinion or anybody else's personal opinion that you listen to, hate on it or love on it or anything other than that. That's math. Now, what's going to happen when that market is so saturated and so full and at the gills and pouring out the top and $200,000 or $300,000 in value 6 months from now, and people are going to look at that and they're going to, and then who's going to come rushing in? Because who's not in the market right now? The public. The public has absolutely zero interest in crypto today. None. I've never seen it so low. People don't care about crypto. Joe Sixpack does not care. Not a clue. So Joe Sixpack is not going to buy Bitcoin. Billionaires, nation states, yeah, sure, that's going to happen because it's a strategic asset at this point. It's not an investment. They're not buying it at $111,000 and selling it at $1 million. That's not what they're doing with this asset. So there's going to be absolutely no liquidity for the little man. None. Oh, sure, they can buy Satoshis. Yeah, they can. So there'll always be something. But what are they going to buy? They're going to buy XRP. Even if XRP goes to 5, 10, 8, 5, 8, 10 bucks, that's what they're going to buy, guys. So by the time the public finally catches on that the entire global world has bought all the Bitcoin up, they're going to be in the boat of, well, what else is there for us? And that's when, if you look at every bull market that we've been through, every single one of them went parabolic when Joe Public got in. This is a controlled ascent, what's happening right now, because most of it's OTC, as you know. Okay. The bull is back. The bull is back. Doesn't mean what you think it does. The bull is back is a gentleman by the name of Bearable Bull. Somebody sent me his latest video. He put it out, I guess, today or yesterday or whatever it was. And I actually watched it. I thought it was great. He revealed himself as to who he is. Not a huge fan of the Bearable Bull, but I love the guy. Why? Because he's family. The man's family. I don't care if I don't even agree with 90% of what he says, which is not the case. I was exaggerating there. Love his work. He works hard and has done a ton of research. And he's an asset to this community, this XRP community. But he's back. And that can only be a great thing for all of us. I love it. And by the way, man to man, he's about 1,000 times more handsome than I had him pictured as. I was like, holy smokes, this is a good looking guy here. The other thing that hit me was like, hey, he looks familiar to me. I wonder if that guy's just been lurking around the XRP shows. I don't know. Anyway, he looked familiar to me. I love it. I think it's fantastic. We need him, and we need him back. And I'm really happy to see him do videos again. His content to me, he's controversial at times, which is great, awesome. That's his angle, his shtick. But on other times, I don't know if you guys remember he used to do this thing where it was all recorded, like the last minute of a show, talking about everybody that was involved in XRP. Wow, I used to love that. It was motivational. Yeah. Aggressively average content. Yeah. Love it. Good dude, man. I don't know the guy personally, so I'd like to meet him one day. I think it'd be fun. Where are we in the show here? How to make money. Here we are. We finally got to it. I really wanted to talk about exit strategies, but guys, right now is not the time to even be thinking about it. But, I will say one thing. Bearable said that he's coming out because he wasn't going to come back until he thought $8 was going to be the XRP price soon. I don't know. Hey, crypto professor, you're in. I don't know what he knows. Obviously, be impossible for me to know. But he's back, and he claims $8 is right around the corner. And that sounds good to me. I like $8. Shoot, I like $5. But I am not a seller like I was. And now this next segment is going to tell you kind of why. If I were to sell, it would be only limited amounts. And what I'm talking about is 5, 10%. Even if it went to $8, 5 or 10% of your portfolio could make you a lot of money. Now, let's get into this. Those of you who saw the show last night, I was on Dip a Toe. There were some brilliant minds on there. I don't know why they had this old guy on there, but they had some young, up-and-coming, awesome ideas. At the XRP show in Vegas, they're having a Shark Tank event. Well, the Shark Tank event was spectacular. TV show. I never saw it really, but I don't watch TV, but I heard a lot about it. And these were the finalists. These were some of the finalists, not all of them. And a couple of the ideas were really, really incredible. And one of the ideas, I'm going to interview her in Vegas, and she's going to be able to do her speech up on stage. She's essentially doing DeFi, DEX, we're going to call it, AMM, and she's making it easy for everybody to do. I loved her passion, her attitude, and the way I can't wait to interview her. Can't wait, because there was a lot of questions last. It wasn't my show, so I couldn't really ask the questions that I wanted to ask her. I will get her on. Amazing, the work that's being done in the background. That again is another way to make money with your crypto. I don't ever want to see anybody put your coins at risk, especially a lot of them. But 5% or something like that, okay, I could see, particularly if it has a proven track record. Now I'm going to talk, because I've done a ton of shows about how there's going to be in kind, and you're going to be able to put your ETFs in a high yield fund, and those are going to pay you a monthly fee. And then you're going to probably be able to live off quite a substantial portion of your bag is going to generate you monthly income for as long as the high yield funds, go well. It's the time today with technology, with AI, and whether or not you like AI, it doesn't really matter, but you have to admit the IQ of AI is probably higher than any of us in this chat room. So I know it's higher than mine. So what you know about that is it can calculate things at 1,000 times the rate that most people can. Therefore, it's got to be a better trader. It's got to be better at picking odds. It's got to be better at all those things. Okay, so I want to talk about gaming. We have gaming coming our way. Gaming is exploding in America. It has been exploding for a long time because people are looking for returns on their money. Does that mean I'm a gambling man? I don't gamble. I am not a gambler. However, I would invest something that would be, how do I say, odds in your favor. What do you think Wall Street's been doing for the last 25 years that this man knows for sure that all they've been doing is trading bots? There's no live traders in Wall Street anymore. No human beings. They've proven the fact. It's not Jamie Dimon. It's Goldman Sachs. I believe it's been like 3 years since they've had a losing trade. Man, ask yourself, how would they do that? With a human error? No, they can't. So they're doing that with AI. Well, now AI is, we can kind of use it ourselves. They're smarter people than myself are using this IQ and this calculating thousands at a time, and they're learning how to bet against, bet basketball teams and all the rest of it. I know whether or not you like any of that stuff, that's up to you. I'm just offering there are people doing this successfully. By the way, well, I'm not going to mention that yet. Soon, I will. Do you want to stick around for that part? There's trading, there's gaming, and there's DeFi, as we know. Okay, so this gal's setting up a grandma-proof DeFi trading system. I don't have a horse in this race, but I hope she makes it really simple. And for that reason, I think it would be incredible to see her win the prize for the Shark Tank at the XRP show. The grand prize is 25 grand. I know that would be huge to her. And think about how that could help so many other people make it real easy to trade DeFi. And how perfect is that for my Thursday night shows? I mean, that's just absolutely right up our alley. So that's the only way I would sell like 5% or commit 5% of my coins or 10% of my coins to something like that. The gaming, well, it's a little bit more risky, but on the other hand, the results coming out of some of these things are mind-boggling. So And then DeFi, she's DeFi, essentially we're going to call her DeFi. And then trading bots all over the planet are exploding and being very successful. And you and I can actually use them. It's not just Bloomberg Terminal or, whoever gets to use them. It's you and I get to play with these things. Can't wait. Because Elizabeth will tell you, she's probably not in here anymore. Elizabeth and I have owned or traded bots for 20 years now, 15 years, and never really had a successful one. So I have guinea pigs, by the way, probably watching this show. I have one that's doing both. She's a sweetheart, Sage. If you guys know who Sage is, she's awesome. She's looking into both of the projects I just mentioned. And there's 2 projects that she doesn't know about that I have yet to put her way. Now I want to talk about Vegas. The reason why I want to talk about Vegas is because the gaming person, the trading person, and the DeFi person are all 3 going to be in Vegas. Well, there's a group who's trying to, let's just say we're going to break bread together. And they want to give me their spiel. There was somebody who gave me their spiel out in Florida, and I can tell you it was very convincing. I liked it. I really liked the idea of it. And then there was another gentleman who has a large YouTube channel. I won't get into who that he is at this moment. And he said, I've got a gaming thing for you as well. All of these are opportunities. I'm talking about putting a couple of grand in it and let it roll type thing. I'm not talking about you putting the family fortune in there. And if you did something like that, well, nobody following my show on Thursday nights would do that. Why? No, that's just absurd. That's, the whole hogs get slaughtered thing, please don't be crazy with this. So Vegas, I'm going to actually have presentations from all 3 avenues, 2 of them completely new to me at dinner, and it's going to be exciting. And I will report back, and you will know more about what I know and what I learn. I am, however, leery to recommend anything to anybody that I haven't tested. So me personally, I'm going to have to run them for a while before I say, well, I'm going to put you on my show and then you can promote your product on my show. It's not the show I run. So, but on the other hand, it's very difficult for me to say, well, I'm making 8-10% a month off this thing. And one of the guinea pig testers is put 20 grand in it 2 months ago and already got the money back. So it's like, for me, it's very, very like, well, why wouldn't I share that with people? And I'm going to tell you now why you don't share that with people, because as soon as I share that with people and they do something wrong, they say, Allan told me to do this and it blew up because of Allan. And I'm just too public for that. And I care too much about all of you. And I don't want you to misconstrue one sentence of my ramble here on Thursday nights and do something the exact opposite, because I see and hear people tell me stuff that I said, and I'm like, no, I'm quite possibly sure that I never said that. Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. That's what you told me. I'm like, okay, well, all right, maybe. And I lie or argue with the guy. I just got, why would I do that? Personal responsibility is how you got into crypto. So no matter what happens to your portfolio, don't come blaming, DAI for your mistakes or whatever your problem is, or you bought the wrong coin or whoever else. Don't go there. You're the one that bought these coins, and you understand what you own, and you've done quite well. And you should be proud of yourself. But there's a poker term that my wife knows well. If you donkey off your chips at a poker table, you're the donkey at the table. If you donkey off your chips, take the loss. Just make sure it's only 5% of your portfolio, and then you're fine. Because what I know and what you should have learned by now is this is why I talk about Bitcoin. And people say, oh, well, Allan, I thought you're an XRP guy. It's right on your shirt. I'm like, yeah, I'm an XRP guy. Big time. Do I think I'm going to make more money off XRP than Bitcoin? Yeah, I actually do. I think everybody in this chat's going to make more money off of it. I also think you're absolutely out of your mind if you don't own any Bitcoin, but that's a whole different angle. The reason why I say that is because I've heard your portfolios. I know how much XRP you have. And if you lost 5% of them, what you and I know about where this coin's going, that 5% is not going to be a big deal to you. And that's how I feel about it. That because the returns that are going to come your way with the other 95% is just going to completely obliterate any memory that you have of the loss that you had. Okay? Now, this is why I tell people, if you've got hundreds of thousands of XRP coins and you don't own any Bitcoin, well, then I would say, okay, so you're telling me your 200,000 XRP coins aren't enough for you? So does that mean you're going to get out when it's $5? No, you're not. You're going to get out when it's $30 or $50, right? Yeah. $30, $50 times 200,000 coins, a lot of money, right? You better have a game plan as to what to do with that kind of money. And I'm not even talking about selling it outright. I'm talking about taking 20% chunks out of it and putting it into something that's secured and it's earning you income monthly is a lot of money. Getting your money to work for you. These are returns that you better have a strategy. This is why this channel started with IBC. Simon and I did, 15 shows. We will be doing more because you must understand that. That's why I've had April on, because you better understand you better either have an LLC or a trust, and you better have a game plan what to do with millions of dollars. And you better not just be listening to this guy about how to do any of that, because I don't give financial advice. I can tell you what I'm doing. I can tell you what I've done in the past. I can tell you what I've heard other people do very, very successfully my whole life. But I don't give financial advice. And there's good people out there that do. And in fact, I'm going in Vegas. I'll be going to Max Avery and Jake Jake Claver's cocktail party. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to meet a lot of you there. And that'll be great. That a lot of us have a lot of, we commingle, cross-pollinate with each other's channels and thoughts and theories and whatnot. And it'd be good to hear more of them on a personal level. So, hey, look at that. We got the B-Man in the house. Brand, I thought you were on a different show. We've been crushing the media here lately, just trying to get it out there. Here he is. And just, again, my big boy. He's my big boy. I know. He's daddy's best friend right here. I don't need the licks though. I really don't. This, by the way, is Jesse. Those of you who don't know, that guy right up there was Bruno. Bruno passed, and about a year ago now. Yeah, and we got this guy. He's just over a year old, and this is the nephew to Bruno. Bruno was Jesse's uncle. Yeah. So You know, he's a chip off the old block, I might tell you. He is definitely. And he's quite annoying right now because he wants to chew in my hand because he wants somebody to go play with him. But Dad has work to do here. We're doing stuff. So now I'm going to talk about Vegas because I want to kind of end this with a Vegas spin, not a spin, an actual what's going on. Vegas isn't just about going to Brad's show. Brad's going to hate me for saying all this, but I mean this. This is very sincere. If you cannot afford the price of a ticket to get in, I think I counted 8 parties. Now I'm including Bitcoin week too, but I think I'm going to 8 parties in like 5 days. And I think it costs me, public and everybody, I think it cost me $50 to go to all 8 of those parties. Sorry, $40. $40 it cost me to go to all 8 parties. And I'm going to say 6 of those 8 parties are XRP exclusively. Of all the people that you know, all the presenters you know, everybody you can imagine, and you're going in there and you're hanging out and you're talking XRP with your favorite people. So you drive there or you fly there, get a cheap flight. I mean, cheap flights in and out of Vegas. Get yourself a cheap Airbnb and go with your people. You don't have to spend the $1,000 a ticket. You don't have to spend that. You just don't. I know Vegas is still expensive, but you can pull this off. This is not, I'm not kidding you. There's no less than 500 people that are doing exactly that. They're not going to the show. They're simply going to meet up because everybody is going to be there. It's the cool guy thing to do. That's what you do at the end of May. You go to the big XRP show and the Bitcoin show if you're into that. Right? Just go. I know it's a little money on the budget. But according to Bearable Bull, we're looking at $8 here soon, guys. $8, right? That's a serious, man, I'll tell you, if XRP hits $8 here in the next couple of weeks, which I fully expect to hit 5, wow, you guys, you don't even know how busy this man got when we went to 350. My phone was melting to the side of my head. Not that I keep it next to my head, but you know what I mean. It was unbelievable. We're ready for that again. This trickle down's happening. So the Vegas show isn't just about you going and looking at, and I know, I feel the same way. I go to these shows, I don't sit in the crowd and go, oh, I'm going to listen to 8 hours of Brad Garlinghouse and the rest of the guys talk about what's, whatever, or link to, or, whoever. Honestly, I don't really care. That's me. But you can learn a lot. Like if you're a studious individual and that's really your thing, you want to go to that show and take a bunch of notes and figure out what's going on and who the movers and shakers are in the XRP and Ripple world, that's your gig. That's what you should go for. But if you're going to meet people, hang with me, my son, my wife's coming to my party, you cannot believe the compliments I got about my wife. Holy smokes. I was on the phone today with 2 guys. They're like, oh my God, your wife is gorgeous. Now, this is a guy with a gorgeous wife. It's like, no, she's a knockout. Like, holy smokes. I'm like, oh, what do you expect? Anyway, I just thought I'd hit Elizabeth with that one if she's still in the chat. I was like, yeah, of course, we're all beautiful people in our own way, right? Yeah. So XRP show is not just go to the show and spend a bunch of dough on trying to listen to a bunch of people that is on a stage. It's bigger than that. It's the community. You can ask Brent, like, if you just went to the show or just went to Vegas and hung out with all the people that he hung out with last week or last year, they were up till 2 and 3 in the morning every single night, just talking, hanging out on balconies, and around the poolside, around the fireplace, and just talking about life and people and having fun. And that's your people. That's your community. You got to get there next year. I'm telling you guys. Now, I'm going to end the show because I've been on here long enough here pretty quick. We are going to do our best to bring you a presentation of what it feels like to not only just be an attendee of the show, but the relationships or the people that you would meet at the show and the after parties. And I'm having a whole camera crew follow me around. So there's going to be, 1,000, 15, 2,000 people watch this video. I want you guys to know that right around the 30th at 8 o'clock in the morning, we're either going to be live, which we're going to be live, or recorded segments of virtually everybody I can interview. And I don't mean the guys on the stage. I mean other content providers, people of interest, people that you know who they are, movers and shakers of the crypto world, of the XRP world family. And mingling through the crowd with live cameras and talking to people in line and talking to you. Everybody has a role in our family. And talking to the people and getting their take and listening to what they did and why they do it and how much fun they're having at the show. And then going to the after parties with a camera. We're going to present all of that. So all of you that can't be there in attendance, we're going to do our best to give you the experience of that show on a live. I'm talking 6 and 7, 8 hours of video content, both days of the show and possibly the day after, whatever we haven't put on there. And I know it's going to be hours and hours of boring content to some degree, but there's little nuggets and little bits and pieces that, you're mowing the lawn or you got your earbuds in and you're driving somewhere and you can consume those hours however you want over the period of time. And I just think it's incredible. I think what we're doing is bigger than anybody even understands. I don't understand it. I'm just a man who I lit the fuse. I'm the guy who lit the fuse about a little over a year ago now. And it was an idea that we've had. And we talked about this. My son and I crushed this idea, and Simon and others, and Ron Wood, the camera crew team. There's 7 cameramen and sound people and technical people who are going to download it all instantly all around the world. And the rest of that is all being taken care of by high-level professional people. And because when you leave it in the content, the chimp behind the camera, in front of the camera, I'm going to mess it up. And I just, you've seen my videos. I can't even edit the roosters out, let alone, do a live show in a building with a bunch of noise and get the sound right. They're going to nail all that for us. And they're doing it virtually out of their pocket. I mean, it's who they are. It's who we all are. You would do, if you had a film crew, you would do the same. You just would. I have musicians that tell me all the time, Allan, all I want to do is do a theme song for you. Like we're multiples, because that's what we are here. We're family, and we get this. And we want to bring that feeling of that show to you. And it's not just going to be the Allan and Brent show. I know it'll probably look that way, but I really want it to be about other people. And I don't even care if I'm in the camera shot. I want, Zach to interview Brad Kynes or whatever it might be. Of interest to you is more important to me than anything else. So with all that, I think I better go off this. I've been rambling on enough. I really, really can't wait to meet you all in Vegas if you're going to be there at the after parties or whatever it might be. My party absolutely blew up. It's not just my party. I shouldn't say that. Melissa from Dipito has done so much work on this thing. And my son and I and Dave from Digital Outlook, Dave and I are the guest hosts, I guess. So we are putting the show together. And if you resonate with Dave's work and my work, I think it would be a place that you would really want to be next year. And we're going to have a much larger building. I'm going to tell you that. It's going to be a bigger night next year. So just know that I love you all, and I appreciate the time that you share with me. I know you have busy schedules, and I'm amazed how many of you show up, and all of you that are in the chat and the rest of it. I love and appreciate you all, and I can't wait to bring Las Vegas to your laptop or your phone next week, late next week, this time next week. How about that? Same time, bad channel, and all the rest of it. Okay, guys, I'm going to quit rambling along here. So I love you all, and you know I do. And we will, next time I see you, is that right? Probably the next time, I don't know, I'll probably do something in between. All right. Same bat channel. I'll see you guys next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Good night.